All right, everybody, welcome to the 70213 Lakers podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Randolph, here with my boy Isiah Torres. Lakers are champions. He has his Dodger hat. They're champions. Big year for LA, as we've talked about the few episodes. We're going to get right into this with some updates. We got some dates from the NBA. I'm going to start off by saying the draft. It is on the 18th.
Yeah, man, that's almost a week from now.
I actually like that.
You like what?
The draft day, early draft. I know it's early and it's not that much scouting, but it was going to happen anyways. I like that it's in a week. I'm already excited for it.
Oh, yeah, me too. I'm super excited, man. I've been waiting for this draft for a long time, man. Like I've been saying a few episodes back, dude. We got two IE boys in the draft, bro. Both probably going top 10. We got obviously everyone knows Melo Ball, and then my boy Onyeka Okongwu from USC. I'm excited. I'm really pumped for this draft.
Oh yeah, it's going to be the most interesting in history. Not that much scouting time, so who knows? Maybe someone in the top 5 is a bust, and someone in the drafted 30th becomes amazing. Not enough scouting time. You don't know anyways. So This is going to be crazy. I'm actually really excited for it. And on the 20th, free agency starts. That's always crazy in the NBA. There's going to be so many moves. I'm hearing so many rumors. Isiah, you seem pretty excited about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, the free agency is always, I think in more recent years, obviously ever since the big, decision by LeBron 10 years ago, and then even bigger was, KD's move to the Warriors. But every offseason, the free agency periods becomes an event. It makes basketball a really hot topic even after the season's already over. So it's like we said, it's coming at you fast. The season just ended a month ago. It feels like it was only 2 weeks ago, and here we are. I mean, drafts next week, free agencies next week, and the season starts in a month. It's like you blink and here we are. So
for real,
we'll see what happens. Well, it's going to be an interesting free agency because kind of the same deal with the draft is how is that going to go? Are people still going to be meeting face to face? I'm sure they probably will be, but I'm sure you might have some of your virtual drafts and virtual interviews and whatnot or meetings. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm excited for basketball to be back. I'm a little worried though because the Lakers, man, they just finished like a few weeks ago, and they're gonna have to get right back into it. I saw an interesting tweet earlier. I don't remember it verbatim, but it said Lakers and Heat. Their players only have, it was like 40 or 50 days before of rest. All the other teams that didn't make the bubble at all, they have like I think 100 and something days of rest in between. So like that's a big gap in rest. You know what I mean?
How much do you think that'll impact the Lakers on court?
I mean, I don't know how serious LeBron is, but if he's really serious about not even playing or cherry picking, then it probably is going to heavily affect him because this is a short season. It's going to be another short season, so it probably could heavily affect him.
Yeah, it is a shorter season, but season starts on December 22nd, by the way. So It's a shorter season, but I don't think that's nearly enough to compensate those that went to the finals. Like, don't get me wrong. As a fan, I love this. Right after the season ends, or soon after the finals ends, we already get a draft. Then free agency starts 2 days after. Then we get the season a month after. As a fan, I love that.
Yeah.
But for the players, man, I said it last week. It's brutal. And I know that we didn't get a confirmed date, but it's brutal. And I didn't even take into account for what Isiah said this episode. The people that made the finals. Like, no sports fans think of it, and no one wants to use it as an excuse. But what he said, some people are getting, that didn't make the bubble, they're getting over 100 days of rest. Are we going to see a lot of games where the Hornets beat the Lakers and the Clippers? It's like you just don't know. As much as, not the Hornets, that'll never happen. They're terrible. Sorry, Hornet fans. But, it's you just don't know. I say this rest goes into play, and fans can't use it as an excuse. Obviously, you just don't know how much it impacted them. They're going to say it didn't on camera, because on camera, no one's going to admit it. They're not going to straight up say, yeah, I was tired, needed rest. And then they get bashed by the media. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But personally, I say that's a huge impact, because a lot of times people, and I'm not going to say they're exactly right all the time. I don't really study up on betting and stuff. But a lot of bettors take into account how many days of rest one of the teams is and how much travel they've had to do between games. Like, that actually impacts a lot of bettors' decisions. Hence, I don't know how much these bettors win. So this isn't exactly 100% accurate. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a solid take. They calculate every game how much the other team had to travel, how much rest they got between games. So for a team to have 100 days more rest than another, and I get it, playoffs happens before the finals every year. But still, usually, the offseason is long enough to the point it's a balance. Even though some teams have a lot more rest than others, it's enough. Every team has enough rest to heal. 2 months, if even, to around 2 months is not enough to fully recover and practice and get ready.
No, not at all.
Especially for the teams that made the finals. For the teams that didn't make the bubble, it's more than enough. So that's why I say it's a major impact. Do you have a take on that, Isiah?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I want to throw out, just for devil's advocate's sake, I guess. I just thought about this right now. On the other hand, you could look at the teams who were good in the bubble, like the Lakers, right? They finished strong, won the championship. And Miami, right? They finished strong, fell short, but still were looking really good. A month and a half break, and then they're right back to it. They could, if they could keep building off that momentum, that could be maybe an advantage for them, right? It's just a matter of body health wise, age. LeBron's 18th season now. Like we said, everyone's saying is he going to cherry pick? He's not going to play. That might affect them. But for the other guys on the team, maybe this is better for Miami, right? Because they're not old guys; they're young, and they were hot, and they fell short. Here now, they got to play again a month and a half later. You know what I mean? Things are. I bet they are not too worried because they're young. They were red hot, and now they're mad, right? Because they just lost.
Yeah.
Take all that momentum going into the season, or look at the bubble Suns. They went 8-0 in the bubble.
Yeah, but they didn't make it.
A month and a half later, and they could maybe keep that momentum too. So, on one hand, let's say the losers of this are the Lakers, but the winners of this could be all those teams that did not play in the bubble got rest. And for bubble teams, the winners could be the Heat and maybe the Suns, right?
Yeah.
And all those other. We saw a huge improvement in certain players because realistically, this was it was their next season already. You saw improvements in T.J. Warren. You saw improvements in who else? We got to see the Blazers be a better team because they had Nurkic back, they had Zach Collins back, but then he did get hurt again. Lillard got hurt right there at the end of the series against the Lakers, so we'll see how he looks. But then you look at the Nuggets, another really good team. They went strong, coming back 3-1 series, back-to-back series. You got Michael Porter Jr., who was really kind of coming into his own before Jamal Murray came back from injury, but he could still score at will. Yeah. Bol was playing good in those scrimmage games, and then in the playoff games he didn't play at all. But I would love to see what he could do. Tear it up in an actual regular season game. So obviously there's some winners and losers in this. I'm gonna totally discredit the teams that did not make the bubble because they have all the rest in the world. But if we're looking at bubble teams strictly, the winners would be the Heat and the Suns, right? But the big loser probably has to be the Lakers, and maybe even the Clippers too.
Because they made it that deep. They made it so deep in the playoffs for the Lakers, that is. They made it so deep into the playoffs. They won the finals. They got to come back. LeBron's not exactly young, even though he's superhuman. But teams like the Nuggets, like you said, because you said they're a winner, right?
Yeah, I think they're one of the winners too. Shout out to this guy, Richie Lupo 11. Bobo needs more playing time. I 100% agree. Because they held on him the whole season. And then when he finally balled out in those scrimmage games, it was crazy. He had a block and then coast to coast for the dunk, and then hit a 3-pointer or two. Like it was. I remember watching him play those games, and I felt bad because playing in those games in the bubble will technically disqualify him for being eligible for Rookie of the Year next season. You know what I mean? Because he goes, man, I would love for him to actually play a whole rookie season, and tear it up. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely count the Nuggets maybe one of those winners as well. Because
I agree with your takes. I do.
You know
I like this. Yeah, so it's like the teams that are older and made it as deep as to the finals kind of have a disadvantage with an early season coming up because they don't get much rest and LeBron's older.
Yeah.
But the teams that didn't get too deep, like the Nuggets, even though they did make the conference, they're younger, so they don't necessarily need the rest as much as a player like LeBron does. They're still a winner because they didn't go too far in the playoffs, and they have young and hungry players.
They're a young team, young and hungry, yeah. While you look at the Lakers, maybe even the Clippers, because they're also kind of like an older team. And obviously they got a lot of things to figure out. So, yeah, I mean, those are probably the two losers of this whole early start. And then, let's see. Hopefully the virus could get slowed down and be defeated when we get to the end of the season, which they're saying is probably going to be in July. But how does this affect players who usually play for Team USA in the Olympics, right? Because the season's supposed to end around June, July, and then the Olympics are going to be in August. Usually you always have the big guys play in the Olympics. Like, are they going to not play? Like, we'll see how that goes. You know what I mean?
I think we will get a lot of big ones because even though they've been doing good, I feel like the amount of big stars in the Olympics is declining over the years. We still win and blow people out. But, I mean, this past year, Team USA was solid, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't GOAT status. We had DeMar DeRozan, DeMarcus Cousins, Klay Thompson, I believe. So it's
talking about the last Olympics, or
not the last world event that we lost, because there was a FIBA.
The FIBA World Cup. That was the time where we used all the guys who are not the big head honchos, and they lost.
So I feel like we've already started a trend of not using them. So now with the virus and this season start, it's only going to get worse. I don't think we're gonna get a lot of people going to the Olympics. And we got another comment by Richie there. He's saying, who would you want on the Lakers, Ibaka or D Rose? I say it's a good time to jump into that. We were going to talk about free agency this episode. Anyway, so for the Lakers, out of those two choices, it is tough indeed. I say out of those two, purely Ibaka. I say what they need right now, if they are going to go with the player kind of like that's not a center or a big man, they don't need a player like D Rose. And I know people are going to freak out because he's a solid player, but he's not a good defender, really. They don't need another scorer, I feel. I feel what they need when LeBron is off the floor is a ball handler. Because here's my take on that. I say Rondo is gone. A lot of people say he wants to stay happy with the Lakers. He has no reason to chase a bag. He's made a lot of money in his career. I counter that by saying he's won rings with two franchises. He's already content with rings. He's going to retire. He might as well go out with a big bag for financial security for life. So that's my take. I say Rondo is gone. They need a ball handler on the bench. And D Rose just ain't it. He's not a good defender. He's not a control the offense kind of player. They had Caruso in that role a bit in the playoffs. They just kind of confused with that role. After losing Rondo, they're going to need that. So I would say out of those two, Ibaka. But in general, I was going to do this thing where we talk about one player the Lakers could target in free agency. Me and Isiah are going to say one every week. I'm really liking Montrezl Harrell. He's not a traditional big man like Dwight Howard and JaVale, who I say they lose Dwight as well, which is why I answered Ibaka. I say they lose Dwight, and D Rose doesn't match up to how Rondo played. Need a ball handler back there. But I'd rather have Montrezl Harrell if they're getting a big man. He's not traditional, but this Lakers team has adjusted. He came from starting Dwight Howard against the Nuggets in the conference finals to barely playing him at all against the Heat. So I feel like adjusting to a non-traditional center that's a scorer without much defense like Montrez is very possible for them. So that's why I say they should take Montrez. But to your comment, Richie, Ibaka or D Rose, they don't need a player like D Rose. They're good. I say Ibaka. Isiah, how about you? Sorry, I've been rambling. Answer his question, then say your choice.
Yeah, it's tough because there's a lot of ifs in there. Like we don't know if the Lakers, we don't know if they're going to end up trying hard to keep Dwight or keep Rondo, right? I mean, or maybe even McGee. I don't know if we still have McGee. He might be gone as well.
He's still there. He should stay. He had. I don't. I'm not going to try to get too deep on the McGee because I'm sorry for interrupting you. But he is gone. He's a free agent. But I don't think he played nearly good enough for any other team to take notice of him. But he played enough for the Lakers to value him. So
I like that.
I'm not too confident on takes, but I'm saying 90% chance JaVale stays. Anyways, continue.
Okay, so let's say that I agree with you on that one. So we lose Dwight, we lose Rondo, but we keep McGee. So for that reason, I say we rather say D Rose because we lose we lose a ball handler and we lose a big man, but we still have the secondary big man in McGee. We're gonna need another ball handler. Like you said, Caruso does kind of do that at times, but why not have D Rose do it? Because he could be a ball handler as well.
Can he still? He was in his prime.
I think he was more of an explosive scorer in his prime. He doesn't have as much of the explosiveness anymore. But he can still be the ball handler, and I think he could come in and do that role for this. Play that smaller ball handler role for the Lakers. So I think I'll take D Rose on that one. In the case where we lose Howard, but we keep McGee. But don't get me wrong, I would love Ibaka. I mean, Ibaka's a great player.
You lose Howard, Ibaka's.
I mean, I loved Ibaka, to be honest with you. When he was on that OKC team, he was a pretty good center. And now he's a champion. Won championship with the Raptors. So don't get me wrong, I would love to have Ibaka, but I think in that case where you lose Rondo, you lose Dwight, but you still have McGee, you take D Rose because he could be that ball handler for you.
Okay.
And hey,
appreciate that response.
But then that kind of leads to what I was gonna say. The Lakers, when LeBron's not on the floor and that bench unit is in the game, you might need somebody to put the ball in the basket because we've seen the Lakers struggle with that at times when LeBron's on the game. That's where we rely more on like Kuzma to try to step up, and there's times where he does step up, and then there's times where he doesn't, right? And then you might have Caruso have some like highlight worthy moments, but in that case where you don't have Bron on the floor and you need someone who's going to run that offense or someone who's going to put the ball in the basket, you need another scorer. When we're talking about free agency and someone who's going to be on the market, I don't think it's a big possibility because he's probably going to be looking for a big paycheck. But I would love for Fred VanVleet to be a Laker because he's someone who's proved that he's very underrated, but he puts the work in. Mid-major school, Wichita State, proved that he could score, doesn't get drafted, lands on Toronto's roster, goes from like being that guy who doesn't really play too much to he's on the bench now to he's starting to get role minutes in the 2019 finals, and he stepped up like no one else could. Like we knew Kawhi was the leader, you knew Lowry was that guy who was Mr. Raptor, right? But Fred VanVleet proved game in and game out that he was so vital to that championship-winning team. On the defensive side, getting down on the floor, diving, just hustling. He even, was bleeding out of his eye for like a defensive hustle play. Making some clutch, quick jumpers. Like he was incredible. And then this season with Kawhi gone, he stepped up, and he proved that I think he's worth a good paycheck. I don't think the Lakers will give it to him, but I would love for the Lakers to try to get him, maybe try to convince him, to come out to LA and be that guy for us, be that guy who's going to put the ball in the basket, going to be a consistent scorer, and then and be teammates with LeBron and AD. You know what I mean?
The Lakers could find a way to do that. Man, that'd be monstrous.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love that.
Makes sense. But after further thinking about it, with Montrez as well, he got a $6 million contract, but now he's unrestricted free agent. We don't know. Both of our choices, it's time to analyze if they're realistic. Montrez will want more money. Losing Dwight Howard and Rondo, they both signed cheap deals with the Lakers. But they did give Rondo a player option. But the point is, when they lose Howard and Rondo, they're not going to gain much money. Those were very great contracts, which they probably wish they lasted longer, or they didn't give Rondo a player option. I don't think there was a choice. But since they got so cheap contracts and they're out, when they leave, you lose valuable players and you don't get much money back to spend. I believe there is a way to work this out. I believe they can get one of the two players we have said. Getting Van Vliet will be near impossible.
That's going to be the more unrealistic challenge, right?
That one will. I say that one's a better option though. That's the ball handler that comes off the. You got to start him. I say you got to start him honestly for that team. He's great off the. Could be great off the bench, but
he's probably worthy of a starting position. But
he is.
But I would I would put him in as 6-man off the bench for sure.
All right, Richie said max for cap pay went to $130 million this season. Ooh. Tax hit on the cap. Okay. So would it be realistic? Could they find a way to get Montrez? I believe Van Vliet.
Montrez maybe. I don't know. But I don't see Montrez leaving the Clippers. I just personally don't.
It's tough for me. Hopping LA to a better team. It just he doesn't. Would he take possibly less money? I say no chance. And the Clippers have money to pay him, to re-sign him. So grading on how realistic our choices are, free agency is unpredictable. You never really know. But I say you're right on this one. I say Van Vliet's near impossible. And Montrez, 70% chance the Lakers don't end up with him. Ibaka has been a veteran, so I don't think that's possible either. His contract, the veterans make more money. His contract's up there. So it is tough. That, as much as I disagree with him taking over a Rondo type role, they might just have to get D Rose, because what else are they going to do? They got to replace these good players with another solid player.
Yep.
And what I said, though, Vogel adjusted really well in the playoffs. So maybe, as much as I disagreed with D Rose being the ball handler, passer, defender type player, I still don't think he'll be a good defender. I won't be convinced till I see it. But Vogel has an ability to adjust him to fit in the system. He will not be a defensive type player, but he will find a way to make up for it. He proved he can in the playoffs. So after all this thinking and analyzing, that might be the only realistic choice. We could get into more choices next week. We live every Tuesday, by the way. Don't forget to follow Franchise Sports Media at TheFranchiseLV on Twitter, at TheFranchiseLV, capital F, capital T, capital F, capital LV. And don't forget to follow us, me and Isiah. I'm at Kyle Randolph, FSM, capital KR FSM. And what are you on Instagram and Twitter, Isiah?
On Instagram, Isiah Torres. And on Twitter, just Isiah Torres 24.
Keeping it simple.
Yeah.
My name like 80,000 digits.
Yeah, I wanted to real quick. Before we get out of here, I forgot to mention this last week, but I know big news, right? Because myself, I don't like talking about it all the time because I know it gets reminded every single day, like on social media. But Kobe's my guy. Kobe's my favorite player. He's my hero. All that. I loved his shoes. In my opinion, he had the best shoe line of all the basketball shoes. Like all his shoes were like hits. They were really good. So the only ones I don't like were the Kobe 9s because they were so like high top. But I like the low top version of those ones. But really big news because obviously we weren't really sure what was going to happen after his untimely passing. Were they ever going to sell his shoes again? But really, really popular. One of the fan favorite colorways. The Kobe 5 Bruce Lee colorways are coming back November 27th. So that's going to be like around Black Friday. To make things even better, let's see if I can get it. It's kind of not the best view, but it looks tough, but that's yellow. That is a yellow shoe.
Fire.
I don't know why it doesn't look so good on the screen right now.
I already know though, man. I saw the yellow a bit. I saw it a bit.
But the thing that makes it even cooler is that they're releasing 2 colorways. They're releasing that original yellow Bruce Lee colorway, and they're releasing the alternate version of it that's white and black. So they're releasing 2 different colorways of the Bruce Lee silhouette version of the shoe. So I mean,
awesome. I'm rocking really yellow. How about you? If I even get one.
Oh, I got to go yellow because I was the original. But I would have been mad if I was getting to get the white one. So it's been a while since I tried to get some shoes, and I think this is going to be the next time I try to, go through the struggles of picking up the shoes on the app and whatnot.
Yeah, will they be on the Nike sneakers app? I didn't see them when I.
You know what? That's a good question. I don't know for sure. I think this one might be more of a worldwide thing.
Yeah, next week we'll have more updates on the release.
But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too.
I think this one, hopefully. Okay, so I'm looking right now. I just clicked real quick on Kicks on Fire. They said retailing for $180. The 5 Proto Bruce Lee will release on November 27th, which is also Bruce Lee's birthday. At select retailers and Nike.com. So this one will not just be on the sneakers app. So there is a chance. I know previously I talked about my Black Friday stories, right? Where I like messed up and I didn't get my what do you call it? My 3 True Blues because I got
it. Hit me up if you're free that day. We doing it, man.
Well, Black Friday I'm gonna be in California though, so we're gonna hopefully have to get the wins on those ones. But I think November 27th. That's what. It's Black Friday, right?
I'll be texting you, man. Fans, text me on Instagram how your luck goes.
That's Black Friday. Yeah, man. So, just on the hunt. Black Friday, Bruce Lee.
More details about times and stuff.
It's gonna be a challenge. So yeah. But okay, that's enough for me. I just want to talk about that before we head out of here.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about a couple shoes before I head out too. Not the most hype for me, but these released today. The new Adapts colorway. They did not sell out. Actually, they released at 7 a.m. So I don't know if you can see that much, but
is it the mag? Oh, white cement. Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's a new colorway released today. Has not sold out, surprisingly. So anybody watching this live, those still available. Tomorrow we got a day. 3 shoes releasing at 7 a.m. Pacific. We got the Prestos. I'm iffy on these. Okay. Don't like the shoe design, but the colorways New England Patriot-like in a way. These are a woman's shoe, but these are fire. Dunk Disrupts.
You like the Dunk Disrupts? Okay.
I do. They're fire. They're like a solid 8 out of 10. Best for last, in my opinion. Can't go wrong with some Air Force Ones. All these tomorrow at 7. There we go. That's showing.
What color is that? Is it just like white?
Yeah, white Air Force One.
Oh, yeah. You can never go wrong with that. Okay. Yeah, I like those. Classic.
That's what we got for shoes. Sneakerheads, hit me up on Instagram about your wins.
Yes, please.
I'll be happy when I get those Bruce Lees, right? I probably won't get them. I'll definitely try.
You're gonna have to hustle hard, man. You have to wake up. I don't know what your local mall or stores will be doing. I gotta figure that out too. But
I gotta look at the times. We'll update fans next week, though.
Yeah, definitely gotta be doing that. But
all right.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a great episode today. Thank you for Richie for commenting about the Ibaka D Rose. That was awesome. Would appreciate more of that always. And signing out, Kyle Randolph, Isiah Torres. Thanks for watching the 7021